of terror, like the global terror, with like compensatory, law of compensation type feelings. Like, can I give an example maybe of?
Sure, you can.
So, like, I don't feel like I've really done much work on deconstructing my addictions.
Yeah.
Yet I often wake up in the morning with like this impending sense of doom, like dread about my life.
That's living in the terror.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I used to wake up with impending sense of dread all my life until I started dealing with my terror. And that's a part of the suppressive process of living in the terror itself, believing it to be real.
Okay.
It's almost like a fatalistic view. You know, I'm going to always have this feeling. I need a coffee. Coffee gets me over that feeling.
Yeah.
Or whatever, a drink or whatever I have for breakfast gets me over that feeling.
Yeah. I notice it's more when I wake up and, I live out in Wilkesdale, and it's like I'm at home for 2 days straight, and I know that it's going to be harder to get my addictions met that day. Like, that's when I wake up with this feeling of dread.
Yeah.
So that's still suppressing it. It's not actually...
It's not feeling it?
The terror peeking through?
Not really. You're living in the terror. Your decisions are being governed by it.
Yeah,
which is
I'm
not
still
the same
seeking.
as touching it as an emotion. You're avoiding it as an emotion, and that's why you have the feeling of dread. Once you feel terror, you won't have the feeling of dread anymore.
So, in that place, from there you make a decision...
To avoid.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
And so the opposite would be make a decision, I'm not going to even look for any addictions today.
Feel this dread, wake up, feel the dread, and go, okay, this tells me, my dread is being driven by my desire to live in terror. So that's because I don't want to feel it. So see, sometimes in your sleep state, you know things, and this is the case for all of you know things in your sleep state you haven't yet worked out in your awake state. You haven't allowed to hit your consciousness in your awake state. And so quite often when you come awake in the morning, that's when there's that's the instant that you feel the differential between what you know in your sleep and what you know in your awake states. Now, in that moment, in that differential time, that's the time when you internally are going to be upset, emotionally afraid, right? And that emotional feeling of fear, which starts to build, so we're still not touching the global terror yet, because the global terror I've described to you as an experience which is completely different. You're in this dread, and then you're suppressing the fear that is rising from your sleep state experience. You're suppressing the fear, and that's what causes this underlying sort of feeling of dread without feeling anything else. It's like a stagnant feeling of dread. And it is stagnant. And it stays with you every day. Every day, every second day, every third day. For me, it was every day. Every day of my life, wake up like that. Dread, every day. And I would dismiss it, When I was a young child, I'd have like 12 Weet-Bix. For those overseas, a Weet-Bix is like a brick of, small brick of, what would you call it, high density carbohydrate, and, made of wheat or some other grains, and that would suppress my need. And when my body could no longer handle that, because I finished up getting very constipated on Weet-Bix, not that you need to know that, but and perhaps the Weet-Bix company might want to know that either. I went to porridge, and so for the rest of my life I used to have porridge. I used to have a huge bowl of porridge in the mornings, and that would be my way of suppressing my dread. But interestingly enough, the dread would still be poking through, because I'd get a reflux when I had porridge. Rising bile coming up into your throat. And so I just put up with that, because at least my bowel issues had gone. So that, the second thing, I put up with that for the rest of my life until I was in my 30s. I put up with that. Yeah. And now what I have for breakfast is 2 litres of water, because water really frees up things and helps me connect. So that's what I have for breakfast. 2 litres of water, then whatever later. Yeah.
So just being truthful about the fact that I'm suppressing heaps of terror in that moment. We know when the dread's present, it's the best place to kind of start.
Yeah. So when you wake up in dread, I'm suppressing terror. I'm suppressing whatever I'm afraid of here. I've got a choice. I could sit here and feel it, or I can choose to do what I normally do, which is usually go and drink or eat something that suppresses it. And for the majority of people, they go and eat and drink something that suppresses it. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. If we go across to Catherine behind, thanks.